I want to welcome everyone to a very special session today of Lunch with Layne, in which we introduce Layne's legal idol and BFF since 1994, Jason Williams Esquire. And Jason, before we begin, just a couple of quick disclaimers that I have to do for every episode here.
Sure.
First one is that the views of Jason and myself and opinions are not necessarily representative of those of the University of Florida, the Florida Board of Trustees, the Florida Board of Governors, the governor's office, or the state of Florida, or any of its associated entities. And the other quick disclaimer, also a trigger warning to everyone, is that the topics that we're talking about today may be controversial, provocative, involve critical thinking, and no one is mandatorily required to attend. So if you feel that any of the content is disturbing, you're free to leave at any time. That being the case, again, let me get back and introduce Jason here. And in full disclosure to everyone, also with Jason, we've been BFF since 1994. I think we entered law school together at the University of Florida, right? Fall of, was
That
it
is
94?
correct. That is
Wow.
correct. Right after you got back from Japan.
Yeah, right after I got back from Japan. Wow, what a great memory. Yeah. And I was waiting on Yuko to join me, right? At the
That's right.
time. Yeah.
That's right. It was a few weeks, a month or so before, maybe even longer, but I know a little bit of time before Yuko got to come over.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, yeah, lonely time for me. Although probably time that I needed, right, to focus on my studies at the time. I should also say, Jason, you and I are so close. Your daughter shares my name, right?
Yes.
Layne with a Y.
We like the spelling of Layne, and that is my daughter's middle name
Thank
after
you.
you, Layne.
Thank you. That means so much to me. And Jason, I want to let you know as well that I consider you not just a legal idol, but a great attorney in family and very needed juvenile law involving abuse and neglect. Not a
Yeah.
lot of people work in this world. That's why I also consider you a super successful attorney. And just real quick, there's an anecdote I want to share with you. My daughter, right, Ellie, had no interest in law. She came in my office, at the university here, not infrequently, hangs around, sees what I do, but had no interest in law until we visited you, right, a couple
Yeah.
of years ago. And
Right.
she saw you, saw how happy and successful you are, your family, right? Now suddenly she wants to be an attorney, you
Huh.
know. And I have to believe, well, you own half your town anyway, but the fact that you're super successful. You got a beautiful family, home, and just what we consider to be, you're a great person. Okay, beyond that.
No, I appreciate that. Now, if you need to send Ellie back, to talk her out of going to law school, then today would be a good day to do that. You just send her to the office, let her hang out outside the door, and I will have her running away from the law in no time.
Yeah, and we may need that, for more of my students, as well as Ellie. I appreciate, Jason, you're a straight shooter. That's why I want to talk to you today about your law school experience, your career, everything. A couple of quick accolades I just want to mention for you is that I see the gavel behind you on your wall, and that's an award, right, for teen court judging, right, that you've done.
Yes. I have judged, I participated in teen court as a volunteer judge here in Beverly County for many years. I did it for a long time, pretty much until my daughter was born. And my afternoons became more valuable to me and I didn't want to spend them all at the courthouse. So I stopped doing it after a while, but yeah, it's probably a good 10 years that I participated in that.
That's wonderful service. I know I did it for I think about a year or so. So your 10 years is tremendous. Thank you for your service, okay, to our community and teens. The other thing I just wanted to mention real quick, and I know there's 1,000 accolades we could talk about, but it's a law review article that resonated with me that you had done for the Georgetown Law Review. And it was specifically, correct me if if I'm wrong, but it was in regard to individuals that were living in public housing, and sometimes family members would pick up a drug conviction or drug charge, and they would all be kicked out. Is that right? A family housing?
That's
I don't know
right.
if I'm saying that the right way, right? But it seems terribly
It was certainly,
unfair, yeah,
yeah, very
unjust.
punitive. It was very punitive. And, so yeah, a colleague, well, I co-wrote that article with a fellow I worked with at Legal Aid, who was at the time a professor at East Carolina University. Anyway, and I was at the public defender's office. I had some spare time, so we wrote this article together, and we didn't really know what where it was going to go or what who would pick it up, but yeah. So Georgetown calls us, and we thought, well, that's pretty cool. Georgetown law,
I was gonna say, very, very cool. And oh, real quick, I just want to mention, yeah, you and I come from some North Carolina, right, background. And I attended UNC Asheville, and you attended, right, East Carolina University, and wrote for, I should mention, you have a journalism background. So you're perfect for a law review article, I think, on top of other things, right? A real, yeah, Renaissance person. But you wrote for your school paper as well.
I did. I was eventually the news editor of the East Carolinian. I was very proud of that. We published twice a week at the time. It was a pretty good little paper. And yeah, I started my junior. I didn't start doing that until the summer, well, the right beginning of my junior year. And so, yeah, by the time I left, I was a news editor. And I thought very seriously about a career in journalism. Now, I don't know how that would have worked out. Journalists kind of, I mean, there's, the journalism has changed a lot, especially since the mid 90s when I was doing that. But it would have been exciting too, I think.
No, I'm still looking forward to your first book, Infinite Joke, or whatever you were working on there, right? I'm sure, James, I just think you're so talented, and have so much wisdom. I have to mention to our viewers today, my students, Jason, we were interrupted 3 times, and this is how busy Jason is, right, Jason? Is this true?
We may get interrupted again, yes. There's a lot going on a Friday afternoon, believe it or not.
Unbelievable. The area of law that you practice, abuse and neglect, right, in regard to children, especially protecting children, I think is all at the top of our list, in terms of what court, is there for. So again, I want to thank you for your service in regard to that. And if we're interrupted again, Jason, absolutely take that call. That is absolutely critical.
I'll let you know.
Thank you. Just to let everybody know about your website, jasonwilliamslaw, all one word.com. Is that correct? And we can find you there, and also on Facebook?
Yeah, I have a Facebook page as well. Yep. I still also under Jason Williams Law.
Great. Thank you. First of all, I think we already mentioned you went to UF Law School. And can I ask, I went to UNCA undergrad in management. You went to East Carolina, pursued some journalism. Why did you choose UF Law?
Well, so I knew I wanted to leave. I wanted to get out of North Carolina and do something else. Yeah, I lived in North Carolina all my life. I traveled plenty, but I wanted to experience something else or some other place. My parents had moved to Jacksonville, Florida at the time. And so they were already living in Jacksonville. So I actually got in-state tuition at the University of Florida, starting at the very beginning because they were living there, because they were Florida residents. And they got a little bit of a scholarship to go there. And so, Florida had a good reputation. And again, I just wanted to do something a little different. Seems like folks here wanted me to apply to Chapel Hill, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, which is a fine school, but I just didn't want to do that. And I wanted to do something different. And so I've never regretted that at all.
Thank you so much. And a huge Tar Heel fan, as I know. We won't go there. Yeah.
There's some blue paraphernalia around here somewhere, I know. There has to be.
It looks like you got some Blue Devil color going on behind you there.
That is right? Duke Blue, yes.
Duke Blue, yeah, absolutely. And how did your law school experience go at the university? And feel free to be honest, straight shooter about that, Jason.
I mean, now law school in general is probably a waste of 3 good years. I think pretty much everywhere is a similar experience. So this isn't necessarily directed, at the University of Florida. But again, law school really is a waste of 3 good years. You don't learn. I mean, I learned more in my first month of practicing than about how to be a lawyer than I did in 3 years of law school. law school teaches, I mean, it is valuable in that it teaches a way to view a situation, a method of analyzing a case, or a method of figuring out things. But beyond that, you really don't, back in the old days, they apprenticed lawyers and assigned them to some senior lawyer, and you follow them around and you pick up things and you learn that way. And that would be 100 times better than law school.
Yeah, thank you. And you and I probably have to point out, right? You and I are a product of the 1990s, right? Version of law school.
Right.
And I can't say I hear it's a kinder, gentler, and more applied world now, in law school. But I definitely know where you're coming from. Would you say that you, Pete, myself, some of our other friends, I don't know if I can, mention everybody here without their knowledge. Do you think we had about as good a time in law school as you could probably have overall?
I do. I felt like, I mean, some people I thought probably sat around and read case books, constantly and worked on outlines and all that. I mean, I never felt the need to do that all the time. I mean, I've always been a pretty good student. I'm not, not to say I didn't work hard in college, but because I did, but I felt like that we had more. I don't think I've ever had more free time in my life than I had in law school.
Yeah,
Because
yeah,
even reading and preparing for class, okay, fine, that takes an hour, and then
yeah.
you have maybe 3 hours of class each day. And because there's no, at least at the time, there were, all the tests and all the exams were at the end of the semester. There was no testing, until the final exam. There just wasn't a lot to prepare for, especially early on in the semester.
Right. Not a lot of feedback either, right?
Yeah,
About how well you're doing. Yeah.
exactly. And so, but because of that, I just felt like I had tons of free time, and we went and did things and participated in activities and all aspects of campus life, and went to the gym regularly and went to all the sports at Florida. I just felt like we had tons of time to do that. And so, yeah, for that reason, I think we probably made law school about as fun as it possibly could have been.
Great. Yeah. Thank you. No, thank you so much for that. How about sharing your legal career, your journey for us? So what you're doing now, and what portions of the law you love,
Sure,
if that's
sure.
okay.
So when I first graduated, I did not have a job waiting for me. I knew that I wanted to move back to North Carolina, so I did. I mean, in fact, I left about 7 days before graduation. I did not actually attend the graduation in Florida. I had them mail me my degree, just because I wanted to get back to North Carolina and study for the bar here, and I did. But after I passed the bar, I volunteered at legal aid because I still didn't have a job. I mean, it was a tough legal market back in 1997 when we graduated. And so I volunteered at legal aid of North Carolina in one of our local offices for 3 months, I believe, before a position came open. And so I interviewed for that and they hired me. And I ended up working for legal aid for the first, I think, 4.5 years of my career. I was eventually the managing attorney at one of our offices. But now that's somewhat deceiving because we only had 3 attorneys there. The other 2 senior attorneys left. So by default, that fell onto me to take on that task. But then I left because I wanted a little more courtroom, action. I started off doing a lot of administrative hearings, food stamps, Medicaid, public benefits. And so I enjoyed going to court the few times I went. So I just wanted to go to court a little more. So I took a job at the public defender's office in the county in which I grew up. I worked there for only 18 months. And the reason I didn't, I eventually got tired of doing all criminal law and all going to court. And I kind of missed, drafting documents and writing orders and that sort of thing. And so I left there in fall of 2003 and opened up my sole practice here in Washington, North Carolina. And I have been doing that now for, this will be the 18th year.
Wow. That's absolutely amazing. So, and I think you really do love the law, though, Jason. I think you love using the law to help people. Is that a good way to describe maybe some legal philosophy that
Well,
you have?
sure, sure. Now that, it's funny you say that because I've been having this email exchange with someone who she's a social worker who works for our Department of Health and Human Services in Raleigh. She organized some webinar in which a lot of us child welfare attorneys, I guess, gave a training. And so anyway, she wants to go to law school. And
Oh,
so she
yeah.
and I have been having this email exchange in which I told her, she asked me why I went to law school. And I hadn't really thought about that, question in a while. I mean, people stopped asking you at some point why you went to law school. But the answer is because I want to help people.
Yeah.
And I told her, because with her background in social work, I said, well, I'm confident that you're wanting to go to law school for the right reason, which is because you want to help people. Or, and so, here I am 18 years later, and I think I'm helping people most days. I'd feel bad if I didn't. I think I feel like I needed to do something else if I didn't.
I think both of you, or I was going to say both of us, right, find ourselves in a career that hopefully is helping people. And I want my students to know that law can be used, right, constructively. If there's any good news out there, Jason, I do hear more of my students now wanting to go into public service, governmental law, or the type of law that I feel like that does specifically. Protect some of the vulnerable individuals in our society. I was going to say the seniors, the disabled, of course, the ones with special needs, of course, and the children.
Well, and poor people, I mean, let's call them what they are, poor people.
And poor people, yeah, absolutely, across, yeah. And
Hey, Layne, hang on, I gotta answer that. My judge is
okay,
calling me.
I'm going to hit pause here. Absolutely. Okay, we're back on our interview here with Jason Williams, my good friend Jason Williams. Jason, I got to say, I'm just a little bit hurt and shocked here that you would choose the abused and neglected children over your good friend Layne's interview here. You know, uh,
Well, they were the door beating down the door, so yeah, they needed some help.
okay,
Like I told
yeah,
you.
yeah, no problem. Fourth interruption during our interview, Jason.
Okay, you can tell my judge. You can tell my judge that next time she calls me because I
No,
guarantee it'll happen soon.
you and I know they always take priority. You were just complaining about the poor people, I believe. We're gonna I'm so sorry, Jason. I tell you what, you were not complaining about the poor people. In fact, I know how much you protect children. I know how much you protect the poor as well. How about this? Allow me, if you will, to post this video as part one to our students, if you're okay with it this weekend.
Sure,
And how
sure.
about we pick this up next week? Would you be okay with that? When you're not, when you're not in the middle of a
As long as
conference,
it's not Monday, then
Friday
absolutely,
evening.
yeah.
Yeah, I
This
think
happens, and I would say, Layne, that this happens, maybe, I mean, lots of times on Fridays, I usually work. Lots of attorneys don't. Lots of attorneys go home or play golf, but I'm usually here on Friday afternoons, but taking it easy instead of, in the middle of a real storm. But
yeah.
that happens probably once a month, once every couple of months, that Friday turns into this.
That's good. Yeah, no, it's good that you're sharing this. Not good what happened, but it's good that you're sharing this with our students because I want them to see, the reality sometimes of practice.
Oh,
Um, yeah, particularly if this is something, that happens, yeah, not infrequently. I mean, I think we could say, right.
that's
And I
right.
should point out to the viewers, because I don't think they'll see the timestamp on the machine here, but it's 5:32 on a Friday, and I know you've got some work ahead of you, right?
Oh,
To take care of
oh,
this.
absolutely. And here's the reality of this
Yeah.
situation is that, our judge has ordered 5 children into the Department of Social Services custody. I represent the Department of Social Services. And so I'm going to have to draft a petition and orders over the weekend to be entered first thing on Monday morning when the courts open up, to solidify our authority to take these children, remove these children from the home right now. so so yes, there's work to be done.
Jason, you are truly my legal idol. I'm going to truly, literally, you are my legal idol, and I'm going to let you get to work on that. And we'll pick this up next week if that's okay. I'm going to hit pause for right now.